Hi everyone! Today we're going to be making carrot cake. This is a favorite recipe in our family. Everybody loves it, and we'll top it off with some cream cheese frosting. Alright, let's see what we need to begin. To start, you'll need flour, sugar, salt, baking soda, baking powder, cinnamon, 4 eggs, vanilla, oil, and carrots. And for the topping, for the frosting, we'll need 8 ounces of cream cheese. We'll also use confectioner's sugar, which is called powdered sugar, and a stick of butter. You'll also need a few additional items, including a mixer, a grater, of course your pan, and some mixing bowls and spoons, as well as measuring cups and measuring spoons. All right, the first thing we're going to do is prepare the carrots. For this recipe, we need 3 cups of shredded carrots. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut off the tips. And 3 cups of carrots is about a pound of carrots. So that's 1 regular sized package of carrots. But I'm just going to go ahead and start shredding these. And when I do, then we can measure it as we go and see how many carrots it actually takes. Okay, so let me rinse these carrots off. All right, I've rinsed the carrots off and under cold water, and now I'm going to take off the outer peeling. Some people like to use a peeler to do this, like a potato peeler. I actually prefer, I'm going to cut away some of the bad part there. I actually prefer just to use the edge of a knife and scrape it off. And before I actually shred these, I'm also going to rinse them one more time. But first, let me take off the outer peeling. All right, so I have peeled and rinsed all of the carrots, so they are ready to be shredded, and I'm just going to use this grater here. There's a very large hole, and then there's a little bit smaller one, and that's the one I'm going to use. It's the smaller hole. So we just grate all of these carrots. And let me turn it around because I am right-handed and this will work much easier. Be careful when you're grating not to catch your fingers, so try to keep your fingers enough of a distance away. All right, 1 carrot gave me about a half a cup. All right. This, I did not use all the carrots that I had set out because some of them were larger. This makes 3 cups of carrots. So we're all done shredding the carrots, and that's good to go. I'm going to clean this mess up. And then the next thing you can do is preheat your oven. All right, I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees. So that's good to go. All right, for the dry ingredients, I need, first of all, 2 cups of flour. For this recipe, I need baking soda and baking powder. So first I'll put in the baking soda, and I need 2 teaspoons of that. So fortunately within the box there is a little leveling device. I can just scrape it across the top. So that's 1 and 2 teaspoons of baking soda, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. And again, there's a little edge there. You can level off your teaspoon using that. Okay, and a half a teaspoon of salt. So let me get my half teaspoon measuring. For the salt, I always like to measure it over a measuring cup. because if I pour an excess of salt in, that way it goes into the measuring cup and not into my dry ingredients. And the first thing I always do is dump that in the sink, because I don't want to later put something in the measuring cup and then I have that extra salt in there. Okay, so that's the salt. And the last thing we need to add are 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. So here we go. This is a little wet. Okay, so I need 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. I also do this over the measuring cup. Now cinnamon, I'm a little bit less concerned in terms of if there's extra, because to me it just adds more flavor. That'll be fine. So that's 1. And this one, I really don't want to waste that cinnamon, so 2. All right, so our dry ingredients are all ready, and I'm just going to take a little whisk and mix these together so that they're evenly distributed. Later when I add it to the wet ingredients, I won't have like all the salt in one place or all the cinnamon in one place. All right, dry ingredients are all set. All right, now we're going to mix the wet ingredients together, and I usually like to put the wet ingredients in a larger bowl, and then I can add my dry ingredients to it. So for this, I need 4 eggs. All right, I noticed that I got a piece of shell in there, so I'm just gonna get that out real quick. And I use a spoon and just pull it up to the edge. We don't want to have crunchy carrot bread. Okay. All right, the next thing we need is the sugar, which is 2 cups of sugar, and this is granulated sugar. So we'll just level this off. So that's 1. And 2. We need 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now I have a partially filled one here, so 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. 1, 2. And finally, the last thing we need is 1 1/4 cups of oil. So that's a lot of oil. It's a lot of oil and a lot of sugar in this recipe. And I can provide some substitutes. I'm going to go ahead and just use what's asked for in it. So that's 1 cup of oil and 1/4 cup of oil. So if you wanted to substitute something for the oil, you could instead use 1 serving container of applesauce, unsweetened applesauce, and that would take the place of a 1/2 cup of oil. So that works well, and you might also be able to reduce the sugar if you like. I'm going to go ahead and make it by the original recipe. So now we want to mix this all together. Add our 3 cups of carrots to the wet ingredients. And stir this all together. Of course, the next thing we're going to do is add our dry ingredients. That's the flour, cinnamon, salt, all of those ingredients. And I'm just gonna put that in and stir it gently so that the flour doesn't go flying all over. Now, some people like to make, you could pour these into muffin tins or with paper liners if you like, to make like a muffin style. I have done that. It turns out great. I today am going to use a 9 by 13 pan, glass Pyrex pan, which is next to me. Okay, you want to make sure when you mix this that you're getting all of the flour on the bottom and there are no clumps. All right. Okay, since we're making a cake with this, I'm going to take a little bit of butter and just butter the bottom of the pan. The butter's a little soft, so that's okay, but it doesn't have to be. All right, and the pan's a little warm, so it's all melting. So we butter the bottom of the pan, and then we're gonna add a little flour. You don't need a lot, and you basically just try to move that flour all over. Actually, I might have a little, with the butter being warm, the flour is sticking a little bit. Okay. Well, that was a disaster. All right, so we'll get a little more flour and just kind of lightly sprinkle it all over. Some of that flour stuck because the butter melted. Okay, there we go. And the excess flour we can just put in the trash. So when it's done, you should just have a light coating of flour on it. All right, now we're going to pour our carrot cake, our mixture, into our pan. Let me get a rubber spatula to clean it out. Okay. All right, and I usually just kind of jiggle it a little bit, make sure it's evenly distributed. All right, now we're going to put our carrot cake into our preheated oven. And I'll set the timer for 50 minutes. Okay, dishes are clean. It's a great time to get all your dishes done while you're waiting for it to bake. And now it's time to read a good book. What are you doing while you're waiting for your carrot cake to bake? I'm reading the book by Elizabeth Acevedo called The Poet X. It's excellent. Okay, I just took it out of the oven. It's looks great. So one of the ways you can tell if it's done, if you gently touch it and it springs back, it should be done. If you are concerned about that, if you're not sure, you can also poke a toothpick in. Okay, and when it comes out without, batter on it, you can tell that it is ready. All right, let's put this on a cooling rack. So that the air can get under it. We don't want to leave it on the stove. All right, I always use big oven mitts so I don't burn myself, but we don't want to leave it on the stove top or the oven, because then it will continue to heat up because the oven is still cooling down. All right, so we'll leave this cool for about a half an hour, 45 minutes, so when we put the frosting on, it doesn't melt. while we're waiting for the carrot cake to bake, we can go ahead and make our frosting. So we'll need 8 ounces of cream cheese that's been softened. So if you had left that out to get room temperature, that's great. And we need a stick of butter, that's a 1/2 cup of butter to also be softened. And we need 4 cups of powdered sugar or confectioner's sugar. Okay, for the cream cheese frosting, we're going to put in that 1/2 cup of butter, 1 stick of butter that's been softened. And we're going to mix that or cream it. All right, and we're going to add the 8 ounces of softened cream cheese. Okay, so the softened cream cheese goes in. Okay, and we're going to mix that all together. All right, my butter and cream cheese kind of got stopped up inside the beater, so I had to stop and kind of clear it. It's probably better if you have your butter more softened. I think my butter was too hard before I mixed it. So let me try mixing this again and see if I can get it to be more creamy. Okay, this looks better. It's much creamier and more well blended. There's still a little bit inside the beaters, but that's okay. That will come out as I add the powdered sugar to it. So now I need to gradually add 4 cups of powdered sugar. All right, one of the most challenging things with adding the powdered sugar is it is very fine, and it can kind of blow around a lot, especially with the mixer. So add it just a little bit at a time. Now it's getting very thick, so I'm going to go ahead and add the teaspoon of vanilla that also needs to go in here. And that will help to make this a little thinner and help the sugar to go in the way it's supposed to. And this is the cream cheese frosting. I'm finished blending in all of the powdered sugar, and it's nice and creamy and smooth. So that'll be all ready to frost the cake once the cake has come out of the oven and cooled. All right, so now we're in the frosting phase, which is going to be fun. So I took a plastic bag and just cut off the corner tip. I don't know, it's kind of hard to see this. If you can tell, I cut off the corner tip of the plastic bag. I put the frosting inside, and now we're going to try and frost that cake. I'm going to hold the top of it tight so it doesn't come out the back. And like I said, I sealed that good. And I'm just going to see, I think I'll just go along the edges. Maybe make a straight line. I'm experimenting, so I'm not sure. I'll try some different styles. So let me see if I can make some little dots. Oops, that one didn't turn out very well. It's okay, it's just fun to kind of play with. Oops. Okay. And then as you use up your frosting, you can squeeze it down into the bottom of the bag. All right, let's do another line along the bottom. Okay, and now it's time to add some more frosting. So we're just going to continue and play around with this and see what design we can come up with. So this is the finished product. Can you read what it says? I know it's kind of hard. I just decided to cut a smaller hole on the other side of the plastic bag and then write Happy Quarantini, just for fun. But play around with it. Show me all your cool cake designs. And don't forget to follow us on this YouTube channel. Have a great day, everyone, and enjoy your carrot cake.